Welcome, everyone, to the Tethys Shipyards. I am Takeshi Yamato, the Yardmaster, joining our host, the Housecoat Gamer.
Yo.
Today, however, we're not going over any particular starship. Instead, we are going over the rules for space stations in Star Trek Adventures, creating them and some of the examples. They do have rules for those, and given that I'm wanting to use the rules in their fullest extent, I intend to make some. But the rules are a little different, and I figured I'd do a video specifically on that rather than just tagging that onto the first station I make. So, we'll start with the rules for space station creation. This thing, we start with the first step is scale, because unlike a starship where the year launched is the major determining factor of system points and scale only adds some modifiers, a space station's scale is the primary determination point of its system points and department values. The number of regular space stations, regular star bases, smallest star bases such as Regular 1 are scale 6. Even more moderately sized star bases such as DS9 are scale 12. The largest is Space Dock circling Earth at scale 16. Star bases can range from scale 3, the International Space Station in Earth orbit as of 2022, to as high as you wish, though there is a high ceiling at which there is diminishing returns for scale. And I'm reading directly from the book here. Once a scale is chosen for your starbase, you can calculate the number of systems and department points. The number of system points available is 38 plus 3 per scale above scale 2 to a maximum of 78. So a scale 12 starbase would be 38 plus 3 times 10, 38 plus 30 for 68. The number
Jesus
of department
Christ, this thing needs to be retextured.
The number of department points is a minimum of 13 plus 3 per scale above scale 8 to a maximum of 30.
Seriously, this K7 needs work.
Yeah, it does. So, and then you choose a mission. Your next step, once determining scale, is choosing a mission profile. The mission profile for a station isn't a way to more firmly modify departments as it is in starships. It is more to allow the person designing the station to judge how system and department points should be distributed, and what talents may or may not be appropriate. We will go over those later. We will go over station mission profiles later. Now we go to assigning system and department points. Starbases typically have a fairly even spread of system points to represent the overall level to which the civilization that has built the facility is able to rise with their technology and the size of station they are able to build. It isn't unheard of for a starbase to be more firmly dedicated to one type of system than others, subspace relay stations as an example. Your mission profile from the previous step should help guide you how you want to distribute points. One consideration is that as space stations are so large, no department should have 0 points. And some very large space stations, above scale 12, may have departments above 5, to represent how specialized they are. Yeah. Unlike with starships, you will typically see space stations with one system above 12, or sometimes one department above 5. Then you choose base talents. You get 1 talent from the mission profile, and then they may have a number of talents up to half its scale rounded down. So a scale 3 station would have 1 talent, while ESD would have 8. and all talents are available for a space station to use, starship or otherwise, but none that would affect how a space frame moves, such as improved warp drive. Now, for final steps, space stations will always have a trait that represents the culture that constructed them, and a second trait is also recommended to give the overall feel or purpose of the space station, such as dry dock or cargo transfer station. These are often linked to the space station's mission profile. And then the remaining statistics. Resistance. The space station has a resistance score that is equal to the station's scale. Again, resistance is how easily it absorbs incoming enemy fire. Shields. A space station's shields are equal to its structure plus security, just like a starship. Space stations that do not have shields for any reason, such as technological limitations or design philosophy, have a hull rating instead that acts as shields, but is equal to only the station's structure rating. Power. The station has a base power capacity equal to its engine score. Crew support. The space station has crew support equal to its scale. As stations often have large numbers of civilian inhabitants, players may use crew support to create civilian supporting characters if they wish. Small craft. The space station can support a number of small craft equal to its scale -1 at any time, just like a starship. Extensive shuttle base doubles this number. Starbases may always support runabouts or other scale 2 small craft. They count as 2 craft towards the limit, as usual, even without the extensive shuttle base talent. And weapons. Weapons are just like in starships. Most space stations, even civilian ones, have some sort of weapon system used to destroy incoming space orbital debris. Large space stations are often incredibly heavily armed, even when constructed by a peaceful polity. And of course, space stations can dock starships equal to half their dock actual starships equal to half their scale, rounded down. Now, station mission profile. There's a few of these. First, any thoughts on what I've said so far?
Not really.
Right. So the first mission profile is administration and bureaucracy. Administration and bureaucracy often earn an eye roll from even the strictest officer. The fact is that both are essential to governing an intergalactic federation or empire. Whether it's diplomacy, documentation, staffing allocation, humanitarian aid, trade, managing first contact follow-up, or non-proliferation, bureaucracy makes sure that policies can be put in place and disseminated to the hundreds of thousands of officers and administrators spread out over thousands of light years of space. Bureaucracy might move slowly, but proper security clearance, access to classified information, and the extensive due diligence process help avoid devastating breaches in security and the breakdown of intergalactic relations. And for Starfleet, intragalactic relations are not just a set of theories and abstract concepts. Okay, so yeah, you know what these are about.
Bureaucracy.
Yeah.
A necessary evil for any government to operate, no matter how much you hate it. And no matter how much you don't want it, it has to be there. Get over it already.
These starbases often have higher communications and computer systems, and command is a must for the command department. Command ship, diplomatic suites, and redundant system communications are all good talents to take. Next up is border enforcement. These are basically protecting a polity by... they're basically defending the border kind of stuff. Maintaining surveillance, engaging in espionage, responding to sensor alerts, interpreting data, conducting investigations, and all that. These starbases will typically have higher sensor and weapon systems, and both security and science are priorities for departments. Advanced sensor suites, high resolution sensors, and rapid fire torpedoes are good talents to take. Next, we have the communicate. Any thoughts on border enforcement?
It is exactly what it says.
Yep.
Take, I hate to say this, but I'm not exactly dumb. I know how all this works.
Gotcha. Anyway, next up is the communications hub. Exactly what it says on the tin. Clearly, these starbases should have very high communications, but engines is also a good system to have high numbers in for extra power. Command, engineering, and science are priority departments. Electronic warfare systems, dedicated subspace transceiver array, and redundant systems communication are all good examples of talents to take.
Another example of why I think the adventure system needs to be revamped completely.
Yeah. And defense. Though commonly unmanned, some satellites or stations serve the purpose of providing defense against potential threats, both naturally occurring or instigated by others. So, not just defending against enemy threats, but also potential environmental hazards. High systems for weapons and structure are important for defense starbases. Any talent centering on weapons or ablative armor, improved hull integrity, or advanced shields are excellent choices. Next is diplomatic relations. And yes, this is also pretty self-explanatory. Diplomacy is far more complex than bureaucracy, but many of the priorities in systems and departments are the same. These starbases often have higher communications and computer systems, and command is a must for the command department. Command ship, diplomatic suites, and redundant system communications are all good talents to take. Then there's dry dock ship repair, because obviously you're going to need a place to build ships and repair them. Self-propelled, dry dock, and increased docking capacity are all clear talents to take. Engines and structure are good systems to check out, and the engineering department is a must for high department numbers. Then comes education and training. And so, again, this is sort of like extensions of Starfleet Academy and such. High system points in any department that the Starbase typically teaches is a good choice, though command often takes priority. Diplomatic suites and advanced research laboratories to represent the classrooms and the other teaching environments are also a good choice. And now we have intelligence and special operations. There are times when stations must be constructed clandestinely. Their coordinates are kept classified. Their location known only to the highest ranking and most trustworthy officers. This is especially critical during times of war. These stations can be training grounds for elite soldiers assigned top-secret missions that might be disavowed by the government. Stations tasked with intelligence missions are it talks about character focuses and such. High communications, computers, and sensors are a must. Command ship, dedicated subspace transceiver array, and electronic warfare systems are good talents for this profile. So these are your spook stations. Logistical and tactical support. Obviously, you need a place to service a base for. You need supply depots and such. Engineering and security are good choices for priorities for system points. High-powered tractor beam, extra docking facilities, and extensive shell bays are all good talents to take for these star bases. And then there's political operations. Again, unpopular but necessary. Politics is important.
Politics is a necessity.
Yeah. High communications and structure are good priorities for systems, as are command and other departments that may focus on political operations. Diplomatic suites, command ship, and fleet command are good talents to check out. Next up is research station. Again, self-explanatory. These.
Do we really
There's.
need to explain it if it's self-explanatory?
Mm-hmm. Science and medicine are obvious choices for high departments, and sensors and computers are also excellent for points and systems. Advanced research facilities, high-resolution sensors, and redundant system sensors are all talents that could be seen here. Now, let's see. Before we go on to some of the examples of space stations, there are some space station specific talents. First is docking capacity. This basically increases the number of docking ports equal to 1.5 times its scale, rounding down, instead of half its scale. And the maximum scale of any ship that may dock at the station, again, usually equal to half rounded up this time, half rounded down, is increased by 2. Dry dock. The space station with this talent has facilities that can assist in construction or repair of starships, including fabrication facilities for equipment and limited refining capabilities for producing alloys from raw material. Space stations with this talent provide an advantage called dry dock that applies to all repairs and construction tasks involved with starships docked to it. Enhanced defense grid. The station shields are increased by an amount equal to half the station's scale. Firebase. The station is built to defend itself and surrounding space from attack and can unleash colossal firepower. Whenever a character makes an attack with the station, they may use the swift task momentum spend for 1 momentum instead of the normal 2, as long as their second task is also an attack. Repair crews. With additional personnel to support repair and maintenance work, the station may prioritize repairs to a number of ships equal to its engineering department. And self-propelled. All space stations have limited propulsive capabilities to adjust their orbit around a planetary body or move slowly through empty space to new positions. A space station with this talent has the ability to move not only through regular space, but also to move at warp speeds. The majority of space stations with this talent are self-propelled dry docks, capable of assisting stranded starships, or moving between star systems to where they are most needed. All power requirements for tasks related to warp speeds are doubled to represent the bulk and mass of the station, aka it can move at warp, but not very easily. And sturdy construction. When the station suffers stress after resistance from an attack or hazard, it suffers a breach if 8 or more stress is inflicted, rather than 5 or more, as is normally the case. Now, we get to space station, and we get to the example space stations.
Regular 1, ESD, DS9.
Well, they have a few more.
Those are the only ones that really matter.
The first one they have as an example is the International Space Station. And
how relevant is that in track? Not really.
Not really, but it's meant as but as stated in a sidebar, the ISS represents an excellent example of what a newly spacefaring civilization may put into orbit that players may encounter. So it's not there for its relevancy, but it's more there as an example for other cultures. For space stations for other cultures. Next, they have the United Earth/Starfleet construction slip. You know this kind of thing. It's the station that... It's what the Enterprise was in the motion picture when Kirk came up to it. And what the Enterprise B was in Generations. And
is anyone getting motion sick yet?
Spin! Yeah. There is a variant of this thing, which is self-propelled. This thing is scale 6. And they also mentioned that sometimes sometimes the space stations listed have less than their maximum number of talents, but the remainder talents may be chosen for the needs of the campaign. Anyway, next up is the K-class border outpost. Ron is orbiting one right now.
No, I'm not.
Well, you're flying close to it. It's K7. K7 is a K-class border outpost.
Tell that to the station that the Enterprise visited during the M5 drills. Why I don't think AIs are a good idea. Especially when they're in full control of a starship.
Right. But, yeah. This thing is basically meant to... But the mission profile is logistics and tactical support. And it's a Scale 6 Starbase. Next up is the regular class multi-purpose station, as seen in the Wrath of Khan!
This needs to be done. It needs to be done. You literally brought this on yourself.
Ah, yes. The Verinda. And the regular class is a Scale 6 station. And next up, they have Earth Space Dock, launched in 2267, and a Scale 16 Starbase. Its traits are Federation Station, and Colossal.
It should also include It should also include construction facility, because that's where the Excelsior was built.
Well, that would be in talents. Let me say, I haven't gotten into the stats full on with these, but I'll go into it for Space Dock. Space Dock has comms 15, computers 13, engines 10, sensors 13, structure 15, and weapons 12. Its departments are Command 6, Engineering 6, Con 4, Security 4, Science 5, Medicine 5. As I said, it is Scale 16 and has 16 resistance, 20 power, and 27 shields. Its mission profile is administration bureaucracy. It has, for weapons, it has phaser banks, phaser cannons, phaser arrays, photon torpedoes, and a strength 15 tractor beam. For talents, it has 7 listed, so I suppose you could add one more if you're doing a campaign here. Command ship, construction dry dock, docking capacity, enhanced shield grid, repair crews, 2 instances of that's why it has 7 and not 8. It has 2 instances of secondary reactors, providing 5 power each, which is why it has 20 power, and sturdy construction.
A lot better than DS9.
Yeah. And then you have the generic Federation Starbase. This could represent pretty much anything from Starbase 39 to a Federation Fleet Starbase. It's scale 12, has comms 12, computers 11, engines 10, sensors 13, structure 12, weapons 10, command 5, con 2, security 3, engineering 5, science 5, medicine 5. Scale 12, power 15, resistance 12, and 21 shields. And
anyone sick yet?
And this thing can do any mission profile. Like I said, this is a generic profile. Weapons include phaser cannons, phaser arrays, photon torpedoes, and a strength 11 tractor beam. They only have 3 talents for this, so you can fill in the remaining 3 yourself for building your own starbase. What they have are enhanced defense grid, rugged design, and secondary reactors. So, generic and room for customization. It's fine. And next is DS9, or known originally as Terok Nor. Its traits are Cardassian mining station, Federation-run Bajoran-owned, station at the mouth of the wormhole. Its systems are... I'm just going to do stats for the rest. Systems are comms 10, computers 11, engines 11, sensors 12, structure 14, weapons 12. Departments: command 5, con 3, security 4, engineering 5, science 4, medicine 4. Scale 12, as mentioned. Scale 12, power 11, resistance 12, 18 shields. Its mission profile is border enforcement. It has phaser cannons, phaser arrays, photon torpedoes, and a strength 11 tractor beam. For talents, DS9 has advanced sickbay, docking capacity, firebase, rapid fire torpedo launchers, repair crews, and sturdy construction. So...
Sturdy my ass.
Next, they have Starbase 364, or Narendra Station. This is a station built on the edges of the Shackleton Expanse, which is a location mostly used for campaign settings in Star Trek Adventures. They even have a campaign guide for it. The campaign guide has its own stats for this thing. This is basically meant for the station after the Dominion War. Narendra Station was basically a joint project between the Federation and the Klingons, as shown by its traits. Federation Starbase, jointly operated Federation/Klingon Empire. Gateway to the Shackleton Expanse, 20th Fleet Headquarters. Its system values are... It's a Scale 13 Starbase. System values are comms 11, computers 11, engines 10, sensors 14, structure 14, weapons 11. Departments: command 5, con 4, security 4, engineering 5, science 6, medicine 4. Has 10 power, 13 resistance, and 18 shields. Its mission profile is diplomatic relations. And for weapons, it has phaser arrays, phaser banks, photon torpedoes, and a tractor beam. For talents, it has advanced sickbay, docking capacity, firebase, rapid fire torpedo launchers, repair crews, and sturdy construction. Pretty much the same as DS9, but I figure it works. In terms of the talents, at least. 2 more. A Federation border listening post, Scale 8, and can be border enforcement, intelligence, special ops, or political operations. And a subspace communications relay, which is Scale 6, and is a communications hub.
Is anyone gonna puke yet? I've been doing donuts here for the past 3 minutes!
Luckily I haven't been watching, I've been focusing on the book. But yeah, that is basically all the space... That is the rules for space stations, and all the space stations covered in the book, in the Utopia Planitia Guide. Any thoughts regarding them?
The fact that I consider DS9 rather inaccurate. Let's see. had a pylon blown off. Not exactly sturdy.
Yeah.
Suffered multiple structural failures. Not exactly a testament to its construction.
Yeah.
And its design is more designed to impress and mesmerize instead of be functional.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, the station was designed to look good, not function.
Yeah.
That's all Cardassians do. They make their shit look good.
Yeah. Fair enough. But yeah. I don't know when you'll see us do space station, making our own space stations.
Unlikely.
But, well, there are some we could do, like the Klingon, like the Konos Orbital Shipyard, which might be their equivalent to ESD, if a bit smaller.
Which doesn't actually appear in the Kronos map. I'd know.
Uh. But yeah, I mean, there are examples of space stations out there in Star Trek Online that we can stat. We don't need to limit ourselves to fleet starbases. All we need to do is find them and figure them out. I'm not sure when we'll get it, when you'll see that from us viewers, but as I said at the start of this video, I want to make use of the Utopia Planitia rules to their fullest extent. We've made a lot of starships. We've made one small craft. We will probably do more of those. And hopefully we will get into some space stations. So, we will see you in the next one, viewers.
Bye.